Hello everyone, and I'm really excited to bring this C++ programming video to you guys. So this is going to be the first one. And just with every single programming, we are going to work on the Hello World project. So what you want to do is before you start, you want to install the IDE that we did in the first video. So what I'm going to use is Visual Studio 2019 by Microsoft. So if you have installed it properly, what you want to do is you want to create a new project. And like I said before, we want to use the console app. This does the Hello World by default, but we'll go through it. We'll just delete it and we'll do it. And we're going to do next. Let's call this Hello World. And you just want to say, just place the solution project in the same directory. So we want to create this. And while we're creating some projects, what we're going to be introduce some topics that you guys are not used to yet, but it's very simple and not too hard to do. So, how do you start a project? A project is starting by declaring directives that you want to use. These directives have different types of issues that they bring, or they get some files from the standard library that you can insert functions. For this specific program, we want to hashtag include. So this hashtag include is saying I want to include this file into my program so I can use the functions that are in that file. So this is not something you made. This is something that's already in the standard library. And I want to use the iostream. So what is that? This allows us to use input and output functions. So I'm going to create a little comment right here. This is not actually run when I use this block comments right here. So this allows us, the coder, to use input and output functions. And this line access the C++ standard library. Alright, and so what's next? Our next code is going to be called using namespace std standard. So what using namespace is, it allows us to use our directives. It stores the functions that are needed to use. If we don't have using namespace, our system, our program won't recognize the functions that we're trying to use. There are three different ways to use these types of naming, but using namespace std is super easy, especially when you're starting. Later programming, you're going to want to move away from it just because the ambiguity from it. So just for now, using namespace std. That's all you need to know for that. Now, we want to create a main function. So what is a main function? A main function allows us to write our executable code. And what do I mean by executable code? What I mean by that, it allows us to execute the code we want to write. This is where we write what we want to print, what we want our program to say. So this right here in these brackets is where we want to write that actual code. So our project is to, let's write it over here. What I want my code to write is hello world. This is what I want my project to write. This is what I want to do. So the way I do this is I'm going to use the cout function. So what this pretty much does, if you've done C before, it's the printf function. If you've done Java before, it's the system.out function. So what it does, it's going to print out whatever we want onto the screen. So when I run this program, and if I have the proper syntax, it's going to print that on the screen. So what we do for cout, um, I want to do a string literal, so I want to use these quotation marks, and I can write whatever I want in here. And for this program, I just want to say hello world. And I want to finish this with a semicolon. So now since we have our code written, what we want to do is run this program and see what the program spits out. So we can either press F5 or we can come up here to debug and start debugging, and let's see what's printed out. So it's compiling and it's about to run its program. Sometimes it can take just a little bit with Visual Studio. It takes a couple seconds, and there you go. You can see the Hello World project right there. If I want, I can do the the operator again, and I can write end L. What that means is end line. So it's just doing another enter function. So let's try that one more time. Let's debug it. F5. So what it's going to do, it's just going to add an extra space, because if you could see before, this was up here. So we have that hello world in that extra space. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more educational content in my C program, C++ program tutorial.